Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
The Daily Compliance News for April 14, 2021, the Ishaguro and the Workplace Edition. In the always great On Management column from Andrew Hill in this week's Financial Times, he takes a look at the recent novel Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishaguro, which talks about AI and the exploration of love, empathy, and limitations in human and AI emotions. And Andrew takes it a step further by analyzing it as a perspective for the future of work as well. So it's a great analogy to use and consider the implications of the story. Ishaguro, of course, is one of the world's great authors. So how will you, as a compliance practitioner, integrate AI into the workplace? He points to managers playing a role in times of extreme certainty, and that the empathy that the robot in the book sells or tries to move towards is something that you'll have to consider for your workplace going forward. Next up, also from the FT, indeed today, all of today's stories come from the FT, is a reading list to prepare for a post-pandemic age. It's too soon to say if we've entered the post-COVID world, but it's never too soon to prepare for the future. The authors, or rather the columnists, list several books that you can check out: Doom, The Politics of Catastrophe, Amazon Unbound, Made to Stick, Couples That Work, The New State, all great books that you should consider as we all prepare for the post-COVID world going forward. Next up, what does your ESG program really mean? Columnist Leo Lewis takes a look at the alcoholic brewer or Japanese brewer Kirin and its exit from Myanmar after the military coup. He criticizes Kirin because he says that there were certainly information available on the legitimacy of doing business in Myanmar under the prior regime, and the question posed of individual companies challenging this information integrated into their ESG policies. Do you have the tools to meaningfully judge the rightfulness of a corporate response? And while the language of ESG is good and good intentions, it does little to force hasty or justified decisions. So obviously we are all facing greater challenges in China. And does your ESG policy deal with the current state of the Chinese government vis-a-vis the second largest or largest consumer market in the world? And our final article comes to us about bad choices around sustainability and how this could hurt companies. Once again, ESG is generally thought of as a good initiative for companies to have, but if done poorly, it not only misses its sustainability goals, but it can make your corporation worse and have a significant impact on the bottom line. So are you implementing your sustainability model to not only move the S of ESG forward, but also to prepare for making decisions which might negatively impact you in the short term, and what will those impacts be on the long term? The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.